Kasama si Papa Francisco at ng buong mundo, pagkilusan natin ang mga panawagan ng encyclical letter na Laudato Si on Care for Our Common Home sa ika-6 na taon nito. Sa linggo ng Laudato Si mula ika-15 hanggang ika-25 ng Mayo, magsama-sama tayo para sa ating pangkalahatang tahanan. Sa pagkilos, sabay-sabay, dahil alam nating may pagbabagong tunay.
In Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest." For Pope Francis, these very words express the solidarity of the Son of Man with all those who are hurt and afflicted. In this time of crisis, we are called to reflect on ourselves and the society we live, what we have done and what we have failed to do. The coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic is one of the most threatening challenges of our time. In a matter of months, it has caused operations of numerous institutions and organizations globally to be temporarily halted, and thus huge losses in economic productivity and social benefits that would be felt for the foreseeable future. The COVID 19 pandemic is a reminder for us to take care of our environment. Let us remember that the environment is not just referring to Mother Nature and all the biodiversity surrounding us, but also our fellow human beings. We are paying the price for our repeated disregard for the dignity of other life on Earth, with our poorest and most vulnerable sectors at highest risk of loss due to the pandemic. And as we face a situation that most of us has never experienced before, we join our fellow advocates on caring for our common home in calling for people from all faiths to stand in solidarity in addressing the pandemic. We must avoid sharing false information to prevent the spreading of not just COVID 19, but also panic and fear to our fellow human beings. While we must exercise caution, let us not let fear and panic overtake our judgment during this time. Instead, let ourselves become living embodiments of mindfulness, generosity, and compassion for our loved ones and for others. Taking care of others when necessary is as important in preventing the worsening of the COVID 19 pandemic as taking care of ourselves. Moving forward, we need to prioritize the health of nature, of which humans are merely a part. We must undertake the necessary societal measures to avoid repeating history and prevent a pandemic or even an outbreak from happening again. Whether it is a pandemic or pollution, we must break out of our self destructive cycle and bring forth the sustainability, equity, and social justice that our world deserves. Pope Francis, in his encyclical letter Laudato Si on Care for Our Common Home, number 33, reminds us that it is not enough, however, to think of different species merely as potential resources to be exploited while overlooking the fact that they have value in themselves. Let me share with you some reflections which can be found in the latest edition of our handbook on sustainable development goals and Laudato Si. You may download it through the link below. This reflection calls for ecological solidarity. In the context of Catholic social teaching, Pope Francis highlights the concept of integral ecology in the Laudato Si as a framework for understanding and managing the many interlinkages of the different aspects of life, especially pertaining to the bond between human beings and the natural world. This concept involves respecting local circumstances and cultural heritages as communities aim for the type of development that integrates every key aspect of living. We must also understand the value of solidarity. It is a key moral value of any society, an indicator of the stability, resilience, and inclusivity of a community amidst the differences among its members. It is aligned with the Catholic vision of humans being in a universal communion with others, actively working for the common good. It involves building relationships with God, with other human beings, and with other life on earth to better understand other perspectives and allow ourselves to grow as responsible stewards of creation. Through these two dimensions arise ecological solidarity or eco solidarity, the state of compassionate interdependences of individuals within a given environment across spatial and temporal changes. It is underpinned by social justice and intergenerational equity. It is anchored in the political representation of non human life, accounting for cultural and natural heritage of the environment. It is characterized by social and cultural healing and improvement of natural environments and knowledges and respect for local lifestyles and the well being of ecosystems. Ecological solidarity is a key characteristic of the more sustainable model of development that we must strive for as we face challenges moving forward. Now, to continue living Laudato Si Philippines reflection, this pandemic has shown us that the normal to which we have been accustomed is unsustainable. How we respond to the COVID-19 pandemic will determine if we have learned from our previous errors, if we truly are prepared to undergo the necessary transformations to create a better world for current and future generations. Economic reforms must go beyond short term relief and support for struggling sectors. The pandemic has shown us the need for restructuring the economy away from an economy of wants, where the misleading concept that stronger economies are fueled by higher spending must be replaced by models focusing on resilience to potential shocks and fulfilling the basic needs of all sectors, including food, water, and shelter. Now that humankind has been reminded once more of how neglecting the welfare of others could directly impact its own well being, perhaps this might finally initiate a chain reaction that could break us out of our own self destructive cycles. It starts with prioritizing planetary and human health over simply maximizing profits, which is a driving force of the climate crisis, environmental degradation, and social injustice. While a strict enforcement of laws and policies towards biodiversity conservation at the global and local scale should have started decades ago, the impacts of COVID 19 could make us recognize that we can still protect whatever is left of a deteriorating biodiversity and plant the seeds for its rebirth that will take place across generations. And through ecological education and changes in lifestyles, more people now and in the future would be more proactive in caring for ecosystems and preventing these outbreaks from happening again. The day could still come when the idea of environmental protection will become as imprinted in our consciousness as sanitizing ourselves for self preservation. Citizens must demand leadership aligned with sustainable development. The world needs global, national, and local leaders who have the vision and political will to implement a comprehensive and integrated approach that provides accessible pathways for all sectors for equitable progress. Another key takeaway from the COVID 19 pandemic is that we need our governments and businesses to invest in inclusive, resilient, and sustainable solutions that build healthy systems and communities, lead to economic and social development, and promote environmental health. The time has come for corporations to divest from harmful activities and initiate a just transition towards more social and environmentally conscious practices and ventures. Instead of financing or profiting from environmentally destructive practices, From coal-fired power plants to pollutive industries and trades, citizens must pressure the authorities to invest in universal health care, environmental education, cleaner water and air, small-scale organic farming, renewable energy development, and other indicators of sustainability. Humankind finds itself at a crossroads. As disruptive and severe as the impacts of COVID-19, we're experiencing it now. It will not be the last challenge, and we will face in our lifetime, especially if we allow the world to return to business as usual. The concept of development, as we know, it is gone. In the midst of this dark, tumultuous era, let us find the light and define just what humanity is and can be.
Sumainyo ang kapayapaan. Hashtag Buhay Laudato Si. Sa panahon ng COVID-19 pandemic, ang maging isang responsableng mamamayan para sa kalikasan ay napakahalaga. Tandaan natin na ang kapaligiran ay hindi lamang ang inang kalikasan kundi ang mga kapwa nating nakapaloob dito. Sa inspirasyon ng Laudato Si, bilang 211 ni Pope Francis, narito ang ilang mga kapakipakinabang na maaari nating gawin sa panahon ng krisis na ito. Una, panatilihing malusog ang pangangatawan. Kumain ng tamang pagkain at uminom ng maraming likido o tubig at kinakailangang bitamina. Huwag kalimutang mag-ehersisyo. Pangalawa, alagaan ang kalusugan ng iyong kaisipan. Iwasan ang sobrang pagdamdam at pag-iisip ng mga kwento at balita tungkol sa pandemic, kabilang dyan ang social media. Maaari mo rin gawin ang mga bagay na nakapaglilibang sa iyo na hindi nakapagdudulot ng stress at pagkabalisa. Pangatlo, panatilihing malinis at ligtas ang iyong sarili. Huwag kalimutang maligo. Panatilihin ang personal hygiene at ugaliing maglinis ng bakuran at ng inyong tahanan. I-segregate ang mga basura at i-compost ang mga nabubulok. Pang-apat, turuan ang iyong sarili at ang iba pa tungkol sa COVID-19 pandemic. Alamin ang pinakabagong mga balita at makinig sa payo ng mga profesional at ng mga eksperto. Iwasan ang pagbabahagi ng fake news and information kahit ano paman ang mangyari. Panlima, maging isang responsableng mamimili. Kung pupunta sa palengke at bibili sa grocery, iwasan ang single-use plastics and paper. Iwasan din ang pag-aaksaya ng pagkain, tubig at iba pang mga gamit sa oras at pagkatapos ng community quarantine. Patayin ang ilaw kung hindi naman kinakailangan at bawasan ang paggamit ng kuryente. Pang-anim, alamin at mag-aral ng mga bagong kasanayan o skills. Maaari mong subukan ang pagtanim at pagpalago ng iyong sariling pagkain tulad ng gulay sa iyong bakuran, magluto ng mas malusog na pagkain o mag-aral kung papaano pangalagaan o ikumpuni ang ating mga appliances. Malay mo, mayroon ka palang tinatagong talento na dapat mong tuklasin. Pampito, makipag-usap at gumawa ng mga aktibidad na makapagpapalakas ng inyong pagkakaisa at pagmamahalan ng pamilya sa loob ng tahanan. Of course, ang physical distancing ay dapat isaalang-alang. Pangwalo, huwag kalimutan ng ating mga kapatid na mas nangangailangan upang sila ay makasurvive araw-araw. Ang ating mga frontliners, ang mga nawalan ng hanap buhay, at ang mga walang makain. Magbahagi ng mga blessings. Mag-donate online o sa mga lehitimong mga organisasyon. Pangsyam, sundin at igalang ang mga panuntunan at mga bilin ng mga otoridad upang mapigilan ang malawakang paglaganap ng virus. Huwag mahiyang magtanong kung hindi malinaw ang mga patakaran. At huwag kalimutang idokumento at i-report kung may paglabag sa mga karapatang pangtao. At pangsampu, manalangin. Ipanalangin matapos na ang dilubyong ito. Tuloy-tuloy na panalangin. Idalangin natin ang mga frontliners at ang mga naapektuhan ng COVID-19 at ang kanilang mga pamilya. Alam natin na hindi tayo pababayaan ng poong may kapal. Ito ang sabi ni Pope Francis. Gayunman ang edukasyong ito na nakaglalayong lumikha ng pang-ekolohiyang pagkamamamayan, paminsan-minsan ay limitado sa pagbibigay ng impormasyon at nakakaligtaang makapaghasik ng magandang kaugalian. Ang pag-iral ng mga batas at patakaran ay hindi sapat sa katagalan upang supilin ang masamang pag-uugali, kahit na naruroon ang epektibong paraan ng pagpapatupad. Kung magdadala ang mga batas na ito ng makabuluhan at pangmatagalang epekto, dapat na nakararami ng mga kasapi ng lipunan ay maudyok silang sapat na matanggap ito at magkaroon ng personal na pagbabago upang makatugon. Tanging sa paglinang ng mahusay na pagkamatuwid na makakaya ng mga tao na mag-alay ng walang pag-iimbot na panatang ekolohikal. May pagkamarangal ang tungkulin sa pangangalaga ng sanglilikha sa pamamagitan ng maliliit na pagkilos araw-araw at kahanga-hanga kung paanong nagdala ng totoong pagbabago sa paraan ng pamumuhay. #Buhay Laudato Si.
And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good.